Sally Rad, if you could please join us at the front. We have a seat reserved for you up here. So. Are we ready? Right, I'd like to call the September 9th meeting of City Council to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gregg, Councilmember Shealy, Councilmember McBride,
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell, Councilmember Brady,
Present.
Gregory, Councilmember Waring, Councilmember Seekings,
Here.
Councilmember Tinkler, Councilmember Bowden, Councilmember Appel, Councilmember Parker, Mayor Cogswell.
Here. I'd now like to ask Councilmember Bowden to give the invocation and lead everybody pledge of allegiance.
Thank you. And similar to what Councilmember Appel shared earlier, we're a few days from commemorating the anniversary of the attacks of September 11th. I was in a 6th grade classroom. Miss Martin was my teacher at the time. And I'll always remember that day like it was yesterday. I just wanted to share an invocation related to that. Everybody who was a victim of that attack, as well as the folks who served afterwards. We pause to remember September 11th, 2001. We remember the nearly 3,000 innocent lives lost, the first responders who charged into danger to save others, and the families who continue to carry the burden of that day. We also remember those who answered the call in the days and years that followed, our servicemen and women who stepped forward to defend our country, many of whom gave their lives or still bear the wounds of that service. Their courage and sacrifice are forever tied to the legacy of 9/11. In the midst of tragedy, we witnessed resilience. In the face of fear, we saw unity. Neighbors reached out to neighbors, and communities found strength in one another. As we begin our work tonight, may we be guided by that same spirit of unity and service. May we seek wisdom in our decisions, compassion in our words, and courage in our actions. And may the memory of those we lost and the example of those who served inspire us always to care for one another and to strengthen our community. We remember, we honor, we will never forget. Amen.
Amen. Great. Excited to be here today at Bishop Gadsden. Certainly appreciate you all hosting. I do need to take a brief moment of personal privilege to welcome my parents who are in the audience here tonight. So I will be on especially good behavior this evening. Edmund and Sally Redd. I'd now like to call Sarah Tipton, who is the president and CEO of Bishop Gadsden, up to the microphone and say a few words. And again, we really appreciate you all hosting us here tonight.
It is our pleasure. Mayor Cogswell, honorable council members, incredible city staff, all of Charleston's finest, everyone who's made this happen, and all of the citizens of Charleston who are with us today, we welcome you to Bishop Gadsden. Bishop Gadsden, although we've been on this site for 40 years, we're actually celebrating 175 years this year. And 135 of those years were spent on the Charleston Peninsula. But in the early 80s, when it became a little difficult to care for seniors in a 3-story historic Charleston home, and it was time to envision the future of this community, we received a wonderful gift of property here on James Island. And with the blessing of the donor of our original homes, blessing, we went to the city and said, may we become part of the city so that we could fulfill the wishes of that original donor to remain in the city of Charleston. So we have a wonderful history in the city, and we're very thankful for that. A little bit about Bishop Gadsden. Bishop Gadsden is a mission-driven organization. Our mission calls us to affirm positive living for all who live and work here. Our team is very important to us. We serve with integrity. We are committed to wise stewardship, which for everything that we've been entrusted with, and we reach out with a generous spirit. And to that end, Bishop Gadsden has been recognized for its philanthropy and for serving Charleston area organizations, meeting basic human needs over the years, giving somewhere in the neighborhood of $14 million to a variety of community organizations. We are presently, we employ about 650 team members, and we are home to about 580 permanent residents. In 2022, we opened a new service line to provide post-acute rehab for the greater Charleston community, and we are presently serving about 400 members of the Charleston community who come to us after hospitalization to recover and return to their homes healthy and well. So again, we're just so very thankful to welcome the city council meetings here tonight. We think it's been about 10 years since this happened, and we'd love to make it not that long next time. So welcome to all of you, and thank you again for all who made it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tipton. I'd now like to ask Greg Perry of the South Carolina and Nate Barber of the South Carolina Community Loan Fund to join me here at the podium. Come on. Stand up. Proclamation proclaiming, recognizing the loan fund. Whereas the South Carolina Community Loan Fund, founded in 2004 by the City of Charleston as the Low Country Housing Trust, has grown into a statewide CDFI and CDE serving all 46 counties by expanding access to capital for communities in need. And whereas SCCLF has invested more than $1.3 billion through 447 loans supporting affordable housing, community facilities, small businesses, and healthy food enterprises. And whereas SCCLF has deployed over $885 million in new market tax credits, fueling $252 million in project costs, creating 438 permanent jobs, and benefiting more than 217,000 individuals. And whereas its entrepreneurial hub and LEAP program graduated over 205 alumni, provided 5,130 hours of technical assistance, distributed more than $826,000 in seed capital. Whereas SCCLF partnered with Charleston County in 2023 to launch a $20 million gap financing program, and in 2025 established the Housing Our Future Trust Fund to expand workforce and affordable housing. And whereas in 2025, SCCLF proudly celebrates 20 years of investing in South Carolina communities. Now, therefore, I, William S. Cogswell, Jr., Mayor of the City of Charleston, do hereby proclaim September 9th, 2025 as South Carolina Community Loan. Got a sign? Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nate Barber with the Community Loan Fund. I'd like to thank the mayor and the city council for the proclamation. We've been around Charleston for 20 years now, and many of you probably have not seen or heard of us, but I hope you've heard that we've been involved in some pretty big projects. We'd like to continue that and look forward to working with both the city and the county. And I'd like to actually give a shout out to the city council for being so farsighted 20 years ago, warm. There's nothing like it throughout the state. I'm from the upstate in Rockville area. There's nothing like it anyplace else. And we're very proud to be a part of it. I have my program manager, Greg Perry, with me, but plenty of our board members right here in Charleston. Thank you very much for this.
Your picture. Okay, we're now on, there are no public hearings tonight. So looking for we're now on the approval of city council minutes. Motion? Motion probably seconded. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye. Those ayes have it. We're now to citizens participation period. Madam Clerk, how many people do we have signed up to speak?
We have 15 people signed up to speak.
All right, let's give everybody a minute.
Right, the time limit is 1 minute. Anthony Bryant and
If, I just want to remind people, since this is an away game, the rules of decorum do still apply here. Rules of decorum mean that, this is a time and a period for us to hear from the public. This is not a question and answer. This is not, any time for directing comments towards personal council members. I'd ask that the audience too, please refrain from clapping or snapping or any of that. If we have to give a warning, I will do so. It's not adhered to. Give a second gavel and be asked to leave the meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Bryant.
Why would Civil former Governor Jim Hodges oppose my Department of Public Service Commission energy regarding low-income folk in my community, particularly my mother? As a result, Omnibus Protection Act mandatory reporting, doctors, nurses, social workers, law enforcement referred my name via Roper St. Francis Hospital, Medical University of South Carolina, and others. And I'll be referred to Attorney General of South Carolina at 1 to 30 years in prison. U.S. Attorney, 1 to 30 years in prison. That's what you offer me in opposition to you. I'll be in jail right now, not here. Mother went from rehabilitation to hospice based on that phone call. My mother's in hospice right now. So if she didn't get the care you get here. Okay, so her son would be in prison, her kid. Okay, I take this very seriously now. I'm ready to roll now. You got me excited now. I'm there for those who make $20 an hour in South Carolina. They $20 an hour, they will be here. They will be at home shelter.
Time.
Have a nice evening.
Our next speaker, the first name is Alan. I cannot read the last name, but I believe it's a Bishop Gadsden resident, BG353. Connie Wyrick. Okay. We may have had some guests that actually were just attending and didn't mean to speak. So if you did not mean to speak, it's okay. Brianna. David Babb. No, just one. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this due process right to object to the first reading of chapter 20, section. Pamphlet. To object to the lack of information discussion as mentioned based on the last meeting. Reiterate our prior objection.
Next, I have Jill and Richard. To Department 322. Holly Grant. Adam Clinch. Ann Barnes. Former Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you for denying the annexation. 2 acres that are just to the south of here on Folly Road. That would have been added to the Spyglass Apartments PUD if you had annexed it. That large apartment property, now in use for I think about 13 years, has detrimentally impacted flooding conditions for Seaside Creek and the surrounding Brimble Road extension properties. It's the epitome of the headline that was just published today by Floodlight News that featured our Charleston area titled Building Toward Disaster, Growth Collides with Rising Seas in Charleston. I highly recommend this publication to you and especially this article. Please get back on the fast track to adopt a new zoning code that will authorize elevation-based zoning for at-risk areas. It's been lingering too long. Thank you.
Tish and Waxon. Richard, Anita. Cindy Cone. Kevin Everly.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me. My name is Kevin Everly. I'm the president of the Hampton Park Terrace Neighborhood Association. 2 of my friends, the president of the Wagner Terrace Neighborhood Association and the president of North Central, were unable to make it over tonight, a remote location. They had wanted to speak as well. And all 3 of us were hoping to encourage City Council to move forward with a popularly supported tiny tweak to the VAR ordinance. I know many people would say it needs a lot of work. I'm a big defender of the VAR, but there's one small tweak that all of the neighborhoods support. We've spoken to the preservation organizations, we've spoken with the mayor, our councilman for the uptown. I think it's a win-win-win situation. And I would just encourage City Council to sort of push it on forward. We've done as much as we can from the neighborhood. Thanks.
And those were all of the speakers that we had signed up. Did I miss anyone who signed up to speak? Please come forward. We get your name for the record as well.
Samuela Alice. I did sign up. I think it was after. Closure.
We could also get your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Doss Brown, and thank you. Thank you, Bishop Gadsden, for allowing us to be here tonight. As you know, I live in Ferguson Village. And we have an issue, a problem that exists, like any other community around us. Our main function is our flooding. The city council approved 2 new homes to be built in Ferguson Village, but the flooding issue, I believe, was not addressed. When I spoke to the contractor and asked them about the flooding, they said, well, it'll just go in the ditch. The ditches are not the answer. It's not the answer for me because we are already flooding. We need, for you guys, Corps engineer or someone to put Ferguson Village in your budget to make sure that we have some relief from our flooding. Our flooding consists and is caused mostly by other communities that's built up around us, and we sit in a basin. That means when these other communities drain off, all that water runs in on us.
Time.
Please remember Ferguson Village. Thank you.
Was there anyone else that I missed? We did receive some comments on, Mr. Mayor and Council, we received 7 comments in opposition to the demolition of Theater 99 at 280 Meeting Street. And 1 comment was received from Anthony Bryan, which we sent to council in full. And those are all the comments we received.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you for those comments. Point noted. We're now moving on to petitions and communications. We have a petition to approve the name of Howell Avenue Park to the Roman Myron Buck Park. I have a motion on that. Motion made, probably seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Now we have an approval of mediation settlement agreement for 440 Sumter Street. Screech, I think, is going to speak to that data.
Mayor, council members, this is a request for after-the-fact demolition approval of 440 Sumter Street. This particular case has a bit of a different background than some of the after-the-fact demo requests that have been before you. The applicant had a number, excuse me, of permits in place, and they proceeded with what would be looked at as sort of a piecemeal renovation of this property. And BAR staff determined that the requisite demolition approval was not given by the board. Board considered the request and denied it because there was no supporting documentation such as an engineering report to warrant what would have been what the board considered a total demolition. After mediating this matter and looking at, again, facts of this case and the way that this unfolded, we have reached an agreement wherein the applicant will pay a fine for unauthorized demolition in the amount of $1,087 and move one of the windows on the west facade of the building to comport more with the original form of the building. And just in terms of some of the arguments that were raised, there were some challenges to the purview. This property sits in the historic demolitions purview, in which the board does not have say over what goes next, which is something that is before you to consider for potential amendment, and some arguments as to what constitutes a replacement and a repair versus a demolition. So if there are any questions about this matter, I'd be happy to answer. Yes.
The building is in my district. It's a beautiful renovation, but it does not look like a Freedman's Cottage, and it's lost its historical flavor. But my question is, the amendments to the bar ordinance with regard to demolition that we're currently working on, would that have helped us in this situation?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions on this? Not, can I, sorry. If not, can I entertain a motion?
Move for approval.
Second. The motion made, probably second. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We now have a special presentation from our Records Management Division on the city's historical maps and plats and a new collection management program. So forward to this. There's been a lot of hard work going into this. So with that, I will turn it over to the Records Management. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Cogswell and council members. First, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Parker for bringing this to your attention, and we're honored to talk to you all tonight. In 2025, the Records Management Division was the recipient of a South Carolina State Historical Records Advisory Board grant award to catalog the archival municipal map collection. The collection was barely accessible, having been indexed on literal index cards in the 1980s, pre-everything. So staff never had the time or resources to work with the collection, so it remained a little bit hidden. The grant enabled us to acquire a collection management program to hire a project archivist for 6 months, Jacob Mossbrook. And with that, our Jacob and our record specialist and archivist, Kendall John, got to work with a community volunteer and 2 volunteer student interns. And in 6 months, they cataloged about 1,800 archival maps into our new system. So I want you to hear directly from them about their experience working on this project. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just rewinding the presentation back here. As Meg said before, my name is Kendall John. I'm a record specialist and archivist with the Records Management Division. And Jacob and I, as well as our other interns and community members, have been working on this cataloging problem since January. It was a problem that I came into not really knowing where it was going. As Meg said before, it was in cabinet system, on index cards, and we didn't know how to research a collection that was organized like this. This wasn't indexed that we could search it. It wasn't indexed that we know exactly what is on these plats. So this is an example of one of those index cards and the minimal information that's on it. And here's the plat that it corresponds with. And it just wasn't doing any justice for us or our researchers. And so we are very grateful that we were able to get this grant project to organize it. And the result has been that we understand our own collection a lot more, and it is now searchable and publicly accessible to everyone. I will have a link and a QR code at the end so that people can get started on looking at what we have. And it is a combination of maps, plats, and engineering drawings. And the earliest we have is from the mid-1800s, and this goes up into the early 2000s. And so on the screen, we have an example of what that looks like on our new Past Perfect catalog, which right now has map project, but we're hoping to populate it more of our information in the future. And it's the best way to learn more about our collection and the best way to find out what more we have. We have our finding aids going on there as well. And we were able to showcase this collection in something we haven't done before, in this exhibit style presentation that we gave to our members of our local librarians and archivists and museum people, our CALM organization. And we also had another exhibit that was open to more city council staff and some members of the public. And so we were able to showcase some of our favorites and also give people information on where we came from and where we're at now. And to also remind people that we're here as a resource for both historical research and municipal history. And now I'm going to have Jacob go through some of our favorite maps from the collection.
My name is Jacob Mossbrook. I'm a current student in the Historic Preservation program through Clemson University and Science. I'm a project archivist for records management here at the City of Charleston. So I wanted to take you through some of our most interesting, some of our favorite maps and items from the collections that we have, just so that the public and the City Council can get an understanding of the diversity of resources that we have now made more accessible to researchers and citizens wishing to learn more about the city. So first off, I'd start with this federal coast chart by the government. Back in 1886, it was compiled from a wealth of different surveys of the coast. It's exceptionally detailed and information. It stretches from Hunting Island all the way to Long Island, or what's now Isle of Palms. And you are even able to see the peninsula and the patterns of development at that time, maybe how that informs some things we do today. So here you can see the city of Charleston, right, and James Island, taking up most of it. And now we have our modern development at the top. So it's just an interesting comparison between past and present that might reveal some information and patterns about how we've chosen to. This is Cannon Park, so it's a preliminary plan by the Olmsted brothers, the same people who did Central Park in New York. We actually have a wealth of Olmsted projects in Charleston, including the no longer extant Chicora Park, Hampton Park, and Cannon Park. Cannon wasn't actually implemented until about 100 years later, and still not exactly the way the Olmsteds envisioned it. What went there instead was that was a Confederate reunion home from 1899. And after it burned down, that's why we have those columns that stand there today. And you can kind of see how this was incorporated into what exists there. There you can see some of what was originally planned that didn't make it in, like the base of the plants, but a lot of the same forms and landscape attributes remain. Their visibility, those are the columns. And now this is another interesting example of Charleston, and just some of the things that the maps provide us, like these Quaker burial grounds on the peninsula of Charleston are no longer accessible in October. They're memorialized, but many of the records that we have show information that we didn't know previously about where these were situated, sort of plats, transfers of property, and how this expanded past up the neck into Charleston. Next, this is a very interesting proposed system, a subway in Charleston. Can anybody believe that? In 1901, we actually have 3 blueprints of this proposed system that was thrown around at the time. It was talked about in committees, although we're unable to find really much additional information about it. But it's just a really interesting thing to see how people in the past were innovating and trying to come up with new ways to make Charleston. Here are some engineering plans from the U.S. Naval Minecraft base, located again on the peninsula. And we have lots of records of seawall changes, additions, dredging, spoil locations, infill, landfill, Gadsden Creek area, all of that sort of information that is now necessary to inform how we continue to build, especially as our population grows. Here's another very interesting map showing Charleston County school districts in the 1930s. If we look a little closer, you can see how we were segregated at that time, where you can see where different patterns of schools were located, white schools, African-American schools, Native American schools, dotted throughout Charleston and Charleston County in the Greater Tri-County. This one is kind of an interesting map about how our neighborhoods were divided. A lot of our neighborhoods were deeded as single plots of land that were then divided and sold at auction. Such as this. These are some auctioneer plats where people would go through, pick out the one they wanted, and then head to the auction and start. So I'll turn that back over to Kendall since the city.
So we are open to the public. We are open by appointment base, and we are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we're at the Gilliard Center upstairs. And so we are so happy to have researchers come in and physically look at the map. But we do have this information online for people to start exploring. And then if you do want to make a trip out, you can get in contact with us and see more of what we have. But we have all that information on our city website. And we have a few links up there if anyone wants to go ahead and start looking. And thank you all for listening, and thank you for inviting us. And we hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Great presentation. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Parker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council, for giving them a few minutes. I mean, the work that they've done, incredible, and I mean, just to stand in the room and flip through some of these pages that are hundreds of years old. It's really incredible. The city has a lot of jobs all around, but 250 years of history is extremely important. So thank you all for the work that you do. It was a wonderful, it was incredible. Thanks for all the work you do.
Where?
And looking at that, was it 1901 map that had the subway, Councilman Seekings, I know, good order that he's been looking for something to do. Now you can get that done.
Is that a motion? We are now moving on to council communications. I'd like to call on Councilman Waring, to give a presentation, open dialogue about the city and our relationship with the St. Andrews Public Service District. Councilman Waring?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank you and the clerk for burning the midnight oil, particularly our clerk, because this was a last minute submission and she went above and beyond to get it on this agenda. Discussed today. I'm going to start by asking Ms. Molly Collins to come up to Connor, I'm sorry, to come up to the microphone. Ms. Connor is our annexation director for the city of Charleston. This young lady is honest as the day is long. She's one of the most conscientious young people that we have employed in the city of Charleston. She is excited about what she does. She delivers the good news when people think about annexing into the city of Charleston. And she does it with integrity. She gets to share the good news. But there are times when others come and try to detract and derail, well, simply the facts when you annex from, in this case, St. Andrews Public Service District into the city of Charleston. And when our employees who are faithful, they go beyond the paycheck and working for the city of Charleston. When they do that kind of work and they are cast in disparaging way, the largest municipality in the state of South Carolina, one of the finest cities, not only in America, but in the world, has to stand up behind it. So I want her to share an experience that that's on our agenda right now when it comes to annexing a piece of property or several homes recently that we gave first reading to at the last meeting, and what she has gone under and what she email that she got as recent as today. Ms.
Good
Connor.
afternoon. Thank you for asking me to come. I really appreciate the opportunity. I have spent the last several years reaching out to single-family residences primarily, encouraging them to annex if they so choose into the city of Charleston based on what we're able to provide them in means of millage rates, CWS savings, recreation center savings, discounts at all of these centers, eligibility to vote for you all, and other benefits that come with joining the city, of course. That has been a big part of my job and a big part of what gets people to annex by turning in a petition for annexation. They indicate that they would like to join the city. After they turn in the petition, it comes to real estate committee and eventually to you all. But unfortunately, also after they turn in a petition, it appears as though their current jurisdiction at times approaches them, enticing them to not proceed with the annexation based on information that may not be true. And I approach the situation by just presenting the facts. Our millage rate is lower than the millage rate of the public service district. So if you want to save on property taxes, you can join the city. Our CWS rates are almost 40% lower in the city than they are out of the city. So if you want to save on your water and sewer bills, you can annex into the city. So I pride myself on sharing the facts of these folks who are considering annexation. And so it's really disheartening when I hear that they have been approached many times or presented information that may not be so. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the process or about the experiences that I've had so far.
Did just want to really do echo Councilmember Waring's accolades for all that you do for the city. Certainly appreciate it. Do want to give a little bit of context for those in the room that might not be aware. The city of Charleston, if you look at a map of it, what is actually city-owned property versus county or public service district, it's a bit like Swiss cheese on James Island here and all over West Ashley. In this case, we're talking about West Ashley. And it's a legacy issue. It's something that's been going on for quite some time. I mean, certainly all my lifetime, probably going back 50, 60 years. I don't know how far back it goes. But it does get complicated. I remember when I was running the race, people were like, well, do I live in the city of Charleston? And I would ask people, what color is your trash can? And it was amazing how many people didn't know if they were in the city or if they were in the county or if they were in the public service district. Well, city of Charleston has green trash cans. That's a telltale way if you were a city resident. So I did just want to point this out. I mean, if you look at a map in West Ashley, you'll see these pinholes all over the map. And those are properties that could be right next door to a city property that are in a public service district or in the county. So just wanted to give that context as part of this discussion. It is really complicated. And so, again, wanted to turn it back over to Councilman Waring on this issue. It is something that does need to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that context. I'd like to ask Chief Cheeto Walker to stage up at the microphone. And I'm gonna ask also, Chief Walker is the police chief of the largest municipal police force in the state of South Carolina. When Ms. Connor speaks to people, businesses and individuals about annexing into the city of Charleston, she doesn't go alone. She has some mighty talented stakeholders behind her. I'm gonna ask Chief Courier to come up in a little bit right after Chief Walker speaks. Tell us a little bit, some bullet points about our police force. How many people we have in our police force, how many have college degrees or better, et cetera.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having us. Just a little context for the city of Charleston, as Councilman Williams alluded to, we are the largest municipality in the state. A little under about 455 officers. For that particular area, we label Team 4, as well over 60 officers permanently assigned to patrol that area full time. That does not include all the supplemental units, be it traffic, be it the schools, that's a whole different subject, but it's fully staffed resource 24 hours in this. As far as our requirements for the city of Charleston, we are one of the few agencies, and when the time I got hired, that required a 4-year college degree to even be considered for hiring with the city of Charleston. If we put that much emphasis on who we have serving our community, it makes a difference. So not only that, we're probably the only agency in the state that has a platform of 20+ weeks nonstop training before you even cut loose to go to a field training officer, which is an additional 15 weeks. So it's a lot of emphasis put on the quality of officers that we have serving the city of Charleston. Speaking of schools, right now our platform, we have about 32 officers assigned to the school division. That's SROs and the special school response team. The governor just had an announcement that he released additional funding, about $20 million, to fully staffed schools that has not complied with having an SRO in its footprint.
What's the SRO?
That's the school resource officer. Thank you. I apologize for that. But so that's something that we're working towards. We will work with Charleston County School District to make sure that we are at least in compliance with adding additional resources to schools. And that's the public school system. We also take care of our private school system through our platform, the SSRT, that's the School Security Response Team. Our kids are our kids, so it don't matter if they're in public school or private school. We want to make sure we mitigate any opportunities that we're seeing across the country happening right now in terms of violence within the school.
If that includes children from the PSD as well, we protect them with our
Everybody,
professionals.
if you fall
Thank you.
within the reach of the city of Charleston, especially through education, we cover everyone within our school system.
Thank you so much. Chief Courier, could you come to the microphone? Now, he's the fire chief for the largest employed full-time fire department in the state of South Carolina. Chief Courier?
Good evening. Just a little bit about the Charleston Fire Department. As you said, we are the largest fully paid municipal fire department in the state. We have 472 positions in the department. We are an ISO Class 1 fire department. Why that matters is that there are 17,000 fire departments in the country. And the lower your class rating for the insurance service office, the better your insurance rates. So to be a Class 1 fire department is the best you can be. We are one of 492 departments in the country that are an ISO Class 1 department. We're also an accredited agency through the Center for Public Safety Excellence, which is the accrediting body for fire departments. That is the gold standard for fire service delivery. We're one of 338 fire departments in the world who are accredited through that body. It gets a little smaller when you consider departments that are ISO Class 1 and accredited agencies. There are only 125 of those entities in the country, of which we are one. We offer comprehensive service, everything from fire operations to medical to special operations and now emergency management. So we are truly an all hazards department.
Thank you so much, Chief. As you can see, when Ms. Connor goes out to explain the features and benefits of joining the city of Charleston, she has some true professionals behind her. Thank you, Chief. And the chief made a sacrifice to come in. And for people who don't know it, our chief, well, just turn around one second. Our chief of police fire chief got recognized, and we saluted him at the last meeting. Nationally recognized for his professionalism and managing and caring for our fire department. So I'm gonna ask that you get another round of applause for that. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask Mike Sayer, anything you want to know about Charleston water system, I'm afraid to ask, which is one of the finest water and sewer systems, certainly in the state of South Carolina or the country. And the reason I say that, for almost 20 consecutive years, their employees vote them as the best place to work in South Carolina. They employees, not with the boss hanging over their shoulder. They do this on their own volition. You tell us some fact points when people live in the city versus rates, and in particular, the capital project dollars that are being spent to improve the quality of life, in particular West End.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Councilman Waring. Council, for taking a moment to hear about all this. I like to think about those two important things when you're Connor talking about annexation. She mentions Charleston water system as a 40% savings, but let's talk about those real numbers. I like to think of our customers kind of in three different buckets, pun intended. Right? So there's the customer that uses very little, so less than 2 CCF, less than 1,500 gallons. That person, if they were to annex into the city of Charleston, pay an inside city rate instead of an outside city rate, they're going to see about a $300 a year annual savings. Break down those numbers monthly, but typical customer, our average customer, uses about 6 CCF. They are going to save about $600. There are a lot of customers out there who
A year.
Oh, I'm sorry, 600 a year. Yes,
Okay. We're not there yet, but yeah.
I'm in the words department, not the math. But the reality is a lot of our our customers have maybe 5 people in the household, where they do a lot of gardening or household projects. And those customers kind of range from the 18 CCF a month. Those customers stand to save about $1,800 a year if they were to annex into the city. So if you all use those numbers for marketing, that makes very good sense, because those benefits are very difficult to ignore. And you know, our board is going to consider rates in November. We're probably looking at 7, maybe 10%, maybe more, rate increase, because we have to cover the cost of doing business. So if you take that 1,800 and you add 10, we're looking at $2,000 a month increase for those folks, 5 members. Household.
A year.
Yeah, a year. You're right, a year. It's a lot. You know, it's a month, it's about $150 a month. So that's pretty significant for people. It's a lot of money. And then talked about capital improvements, and that's a whole nother aspect of this, because we are spending more money in West Ashley right now in the next 6 months as well than we are in any other part of the city. We're poised to spend a total of about $200 million. Talking about active construction right now. We have, on the water side, we're about to break ground West Ashley Transmission Main Extension Project, which runs the length of the East Barrier. For a new 36-inch water main, basically from 61 to the other end. So that's a pretty big ticket item. We're also spending about $5 million in utility relocation transportation projects around West Ashley. That's on the water side. On the wastewater side is where it really gets deep. You know, and that's about $160 million. So we've done a manhole survey, which means we're measuring the height of manholes to try to get a model, sewer model. Spent about $1 million doing that. That's our smallest one. Finding and fixing all kinds of issues throughout what we call Basin 39. That's kind of everything between St. Andrews, 171, and we kind of drew a circle around that area. It's basically the whole St. Andrews former area. We spent $4 million finding and fixing, trying to limit and reduce sewer overflows, which we've been doing for a while. All that together, we're going to add to that replacement of our pump station 39. That's right where the split of 171 and Highway 61. We're going to replace that for about 10 to 15 million. Actively spending about $135 million to replace the 2 sewer mains that are right below the Greenway. We're going to replace those with 20,000-foot tunnel. When you think about all those sewer projects, they have in common is they're all in the old St. Andrews area. 1996, St. Andrews Public Service District was managing their wastewater collection system and treatment plants so poorly that the state of South Carolina put them under consent decree and gave all of those assets, forced Charleston water system to take all of those broken and ill-designed, ill-performing assets and take them all. So since then, you see us in the news with sewer overflows. I don't really see that anywhere else. It's because those systems were designed wrong materials, the wrong places, often in people's backyards, underneath creek beds. That's a heck of a challenge. So we're gonna make that better. You know, bringing that solution, all those different solutions I just mentioned. The next 2 or 3 years, we're gonna have improvements.
And making those improvements is just for the citizens of Charleston, or people who live in the PSD as
Yeah,
well.
everyone benefits from less damage to the environment.
Thank you, Mr. Sayre. Thank you for taking the time to bring that information. He's actually going to jump back and have to go back to a class that CWS offers for citizens to learn more about their water and sewer system. So thank you so much for jumping across the bridge and willingness to jump back.
Pleasure anytime. Thank you.
Now,
We're at 10 minutes, but I want to keep going.
thank you.
Respectful of time.
I thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank my colleagues for the extra time. That $200 million that Mr. Sayre just spoke about, in conjunction with Ashleytown Landing, which is north of 300, in addition to the 25 million that, again, City of Charleston, obviously led by the mayor, office building that's going to be built on, if some of you all remember, the Catholic Diocesan property. That's over $500 million. Over $500 million that's being spent. Right now, some of the construction, dirt's being moved, improvements being built, put in place. And we talk about revitalizing West Ashley. The city of Charleston leads that. So when an employee comes and simply tells those facts and others try to reverse that or
again, disparage that. Shame on them. Shame on them. Tell me where another $500 million being spent in quality, spent, increase to improve the quality of life. When we do the greenway, bikeway, pathway, we don't improve it just for the citizens of Charleston. We improve it for everyone. When this city spent $142 million building Gilliards, over 200,000 students from the Tri-County area has enjoyed world-class talent free of charge. This city has a wonderful team of volunteers that, believe it or not, the school districts don't pay for the transportation to get the kids to the Gilliard and back to the school. City of Charleston, through volunteers, tourism, pays for them. We don't do that just for the city of Charleston. People in the PSD enjoy those benefits as well. So when it comes to, we talked about the Peninsula Wall earlier, meeting with
Better extension.
man. I volunteer to pay a fine on what I just said. The battery wall, and battery extension, the battery, okay, let's just say the battery, around the peninsula. We now do things in a holistic way, and I can't tell you how gratified I am. But Mr. Mayor, I appreciate council and your patience on this. I'd like Ms. Wharton to come up and speak to the military.
Don't know, this is Amy Wharton, who is the city of Charleston's chief financial.
So, millage rates. City of Charleston's full millage rate is 89.8 mils. St. Andrews BSD's full millage rate is 98.7 mils. However, City of Charleston has a sales tax, which we refund percent. So our net millage rate is 67.
How many years has the city of Charleston refunded 100% of the local option sales tax to reduce the millage rate? And I didn't hear you. Since when?
1990.
It's 1990, 100% for the local option sales tax, which municipality doesn't have to do. A part stays, we have to give back, but a part can stay with the city to go towards some of those initiatives. Right now, we don't have money, but for over approaching 35 consecutive years, this city, previous mayors, previous council members, this mayor, this council has voted to give 100% back to reduce property taxes for every citizen in the city of Charleston. And that's why our millage rate has been managed so well over the decades. Now with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll stand down and listen to my colleagues and comment.
Can I just say one other thing about that? So 80.3 mils is operating, the rest of that is for drainage, parks and rec, public safety infrastructure. So 80.3 of those mils is strictly for operating.
Thank you, Councilman Waring. That's been, I think, pretty informative. Parker, Connor, I appreciate all the work that you've done on behalf of the city of Charleston. And yeah, I mean, again, this isn't us trying to pick fight or anything like that. It's just making sure that facts are facts. That it's clear to people that live in this city, all that this city does with our partners, neighboring municipalities, PSDs, like, and just want to make sure that accurate information. I really applaud Councilman Waring for putting this on the agenda. And so with that, I'd open it up to any questions. Any other comments? Councilman Gregory.
Suggestions on how do we combat the contradictions?
I have a few ideas, but let the other
I know you do.
chance to talk.
Councilman Bowden.
Thank you. And Councilmember Waring, I just cannot thank you enough for for bringing this up. I mean, this is something that's been lingering. And by the way, we should mention that that millage rate is, with frankly a bad deal when we annex new people into the city, which I would love. I'll let Councilmember Waring go into a little bit more detail about that. But my point being that, even if we annex people into the city so we can achieve efficiencies with tax dollars. And it's still worth it, even with that awful deal, to do that because we're providing better services at a lower cost to taxpayers. And that's what we are here to do. I'm gonna be a little less diplomatic, frankly, than my probably wiser than me colleague. We deal with a limited pot of taxpayer dollars. We deal with far too many layers of government. It is a relic of a bygone era that bureaucrats are clinging to, kicking and screaming from Columbia to every area of this state. Everybody's trying to get their fingers in the pot of taxpayer dollars as if it's their money. When we talk about spending money around this table, I am absolutely confident that we are doing it because we all believe that it is the right thing to do for our constituents. I would not say that for many parts of this state. And if you pick up a newspaper, you see how often people are being indicted for government corruption in this state. It's because of these overlapping layers of bureaucracy that are stealing taxpayer dollars from people, from hardworking people across this state who have been let down by their government for generations. We don't need PSDs. I'm just gonna say it. Not in Charleston anyway. Can't speak for other parts of the state. Maybe it works out better there. This is a relic of a time that is long past. The only argument for maintaining them is based on false premises that people are fed consistently. There is an enduring idea that it is more expensive for citizens to come into the city than to be in the PSD, and that is purely a lie. This, speaking for West Ashley, to be very clear. I was gonna have more measured comments tonight, frankly. And we got an email earlier today. Y'all, I'm a lawyer. I have done murder trials. I have done, personal injury trials, you name it, right? Not a whole lot more combative of a situation than preparing for a trial in a situation that is meant to be combative. It is meant to be adversarial. I have never seen a more staggering level of bad faith than I saw in the letter that we received today. It is a lie. It is a lie borne out by their own letter, frankly. And I'm here to like, let's talk solutions and let's do it tonight. Because, frankly, the public deserves a lot better than what they're being fed. And they certainly deserve a wiser use of taxpayer dollars than everybody trying to get their finger in the pot and maintain their slice of the pot. It's going away, whether that's quickly or slowly. And the only people that can decide that are people who have the option to annex into the city and take that slice of the pie and give it, frankly, to a group of folks who are going to use their taxpayers, their tax dollars in a wiser fashion. Thank you.
Councilman Bowden. Sorry.
Yeah.
Councilman Tinkler.
Right.
Just want to, real quickly, I mean, it sort of relates to what Councilman Bowden has said, but I represent one of the districts in West Ashland that has a significant amount of public service district properties. And I can tell you, when I represent this neighborhood, I mean, Avondale, about half and half. And when we talk about good government, talk about responsive government, I can tell you what I hear from residents of that neighborhood when issues come up, zoning issues, there's a lot of confusion about who to talk to. And I think, you know, that's one thing we need to be working at is how to solve these problems, how to make government run easier, communicate better, work better for the people. I think as Councilman Bowden said, these public service districts were created, you know, decades ago. I'm a lawyer too, and I can get into discussions about the legalities of it, but I'll save you. Lots has changed since then, and obviously we've annexed a lot of West Ashland now, and we're doing good things in West Ashland. As Councilman Waring said. So, just if people, you know, if they want good government, they want to be able to know exactly who to talk to. You know, if you live in Avondale, you know, I would love people to know that I'm the person, not that they have to go talk to the public service district, talk to the county about the zoning issues. So I think it's just smarter at the end of the day. So I appreciate Councilman Ware bringing this issue up. I look forward to the next couple of discussions.
Thank you, Councilman Tankler. What else? Councilman LaPel.
This is like the Super Bowl if you're into this kind of stuff. I appreciate Councilmember Waring bringing this forward and all the folks from the city that have spoken tonight, and especially Molly for all your hard work going out there. And I think everyone around this horseshoe here understands how tough it can be to go knock on people's doors and try to talk to them about things. And that's what Molly is called upon to do, to invite members of our community, our friends, our neighbors, our family members, people we go to church with, people we recreate with. We're all part of the same community, although we live in a very disjointed, fractured governance. I mean, for a conservative state, we have an unbelievable amount of government in South Carolina. And it's something that deserves more attention. And this is a little bit of what we're doing here today. We're bringing this out in the open. There's somebody from the Post and Courier that comes to every one of our meetings. I hope she runs a 5-part expose about this issue that we're talking about today, so we can get this information out to as many people as possible. We can share it on social media. I think this gets to Councilmember Gregory's question about what we can do about it. We can get the facts out to the people. You're paying more money in taxes in the St. Andrews Public Service District than you are in the city of Charleston. That's a fact. We don't need to be sneaking around, holding these secret meetings and secret emails and pamphlets going around the city's back. That's not how we're conducting this business. We're conducting this business in a very open, public, transparent way, but does the facts support what we're talking about? We're not having to go through some of these more, duplicitous practices to sort of maintain, as Councilmember Bowden pointed out. Let's just call it what it is. People's positions, their fiefdoms, their salaries, their benefits of these governmental entities that we don't need anymore. Okay, this isn't 1942. Public service districts were created in South Carolina when there were no big municipalities to speak of and people needed water on Johns Island. There was no Charleston water systems to get it out there. Those days obviously have long passed. We can perform police, fire, sanitation, water, sewer, recreation far better, far more efficient, far more cost sensitive than these dying relics of South Carolina's history. And I'll point out this other thing. There are examples of public service districts going away. They have merged with other entities, like in Mount Pleasant, for example. Mount Pleasant Waterworks merged with an old PSD called the Bulls Bay Rural Water Community district. I might be flubbing some of the terminology there, but it went away in 1989. So these aren't immutable laws of nature that exist forever. And there may have been a time when it was more tax advantageous to be in the PSD versus in the city of Charleston. But, you know, that may have been when I was in middle school. I'm getting gray hair now, getting older. We've come a long way. The city's grown a whole lot. And as more and more annexation happens, as more and more growth takes place, and the PSD loses its number of parcels in its jurisdiction, it then has to pump up its millage to be able to maintain its bottom line. So it becomes less efficient as we become more efficient. And I think the more we get that story out there, the more that we inform the public, the better we can be. Now, other states, if we want to get real crazy, other states, they don't have to deal with this piecemeal, one parcel by parcel situation. They just collapse these donut holes and people don't have any say about it. That's another way to go. I know the legislature's taken this up. There are some sensitive issues around, you know, settlement communities. That's a different story that does need some, you know, thought to it. But the bottom line is we need to be better, we need to be more efficient, and we can do that by being truthful, honest with our constituents, and not trying to sneak around and engage in some of the practices we've seen. So I appreciate everybody for bringing this forward, our city staff, and I hope we get a 5-part expose in the Post and Courier, because we're at the end of the day, we're a bunch of politicians. We're a little biased, right? We're City of Charleston, right? We're beating the City of Charleston drum. Let's have a third party look at it. Let's have an independent voice look at it, and let's let the facts go where they lead us. So thank y'all.
Again, one point, just again, for the public, clarity here. The city of Charleston is not forcing any annexation anymore. That is not our plan. That is not our prerogative. That is nobody's wish on this council. But it is important for people to get the accurate facts. And Councilman Appel said it very well. The more efficient we become, the less efficient these PSTs. It's just that. It's the reality. So appreciate this conversation tonight. Councilman Waring, I'll let you wrap it up.
Well, in part, Ms.
I'm not a lawyer, so I'll be brief. Okay. My question is pretty basic. Legally, let me ask the lawyers this, legally, what can we do as a municipality to make what we know we want to happen?
Councilman, actually, I was going to call on Ms. Copeland to come up and speak about the agreement and terminating that agreement. Ms. Copeland, could you come to thank you.
Ms. Copeland, for those of you who aren't aware, is the city of Charleston's legal attorney.
Tried to sit in the back. So yes, the agreement has a requirement that we provide at least 12 months notice of our intent to terminate prior to.
Could you give a little bit of color on what agreement we're talking?
Yes, sir. Sorry. So state statute requires that we enter into a financial arrangement with PSDs so that when we do annex property, we work on a financial arrangement to pay. And in essence, I think back in the day when this was done in the 90s, it was to assist the PSD because they were smaller than the city, or actually, yeah, they were smaller than the city. So now we have come up to the next term, which is until September of 2027, so that we can provide a notice now to start working on a new arrangement with PSD.
Ms. Copeland, have we ever sent them notice in the past?
Yes, we have. Our last notice we sent was in February of 2024, seeking to renegotiate the terms of the agreement.
Response was
paid up, meaning I believe they do owe us some money. I just don't know how much they still.
I mean, their response when we sent to terminate the agreement.
Thank you, but no thank you.
in an agreement, two parties have to agree, right?
Correct.
So I think that's one answer to your question. We can opt as a city, we've already given notice, proper notice of desire to not renew the contract in its current form. The question is, do we continue with renewing it at all or not?
Well, I think before it's the issue, Mr. Mayor, the underlying, conversation is they do owe us money, considerable amounts of money. It amounts to 0% interest loan. Just can't do that. We can no longer supplement St. Andrews PSD. So I think we give the charge to our legal department to come back with a strategy to terminate this agreement. I knew all of our solutions wouldn't be tonight. Just going to be a discussion. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks when we come back, we'll have a strategy from our legal department as well as dollars and cents that they owe us that we certainly consider and demand the payment on. That is outside of.
Councilman Tinker.
Well, I'm hearing we've given notice, longer than 12 months previous, new term. I'd like to move to go into executive session. Discuss it.
A second.
Motion made, probably second to go into executive session. Wait till.
Yeah, I'll move to defer that till the end of the meeting.
Perfect. Okay, let's defer that. We have a motion to defer going into executive session till the end of the meeting. We have a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. All right, we are now moving on to balance of the agenda. We have some consent agenda items. There are two reports from Park Recreation and Human Resources. No action is needed, but anything from those committee chairs?
No, Mr. Mayor, we got the report.
We don't need an action. All right, now we are on to consent agenda. I'm sorry, this is committee reports. Now we're on with Councilman Waring for Public Works.
Move for approval.
Motion made, probably seconded on that.
I agree with all of that, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Now we're on to Council Committee for Ways and Means. Councilman Gregg. Community Development, I missed that. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Community Development, Councilman Mitchell. Motion mode. Probably seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Now we're on to Ways and Means. Councilman
Move for
Gregg.
approval. Second.
Motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. We are now on to bills. There's one bill up for third reading. I want to ask the clerk to read the title. If y'all could give me a minute here. Give the clerk a minute.
And this is an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 21, Article 3, Division 4, Sections 21-67 through 21-74, and to amend Chapter 22, Article 1, Sections 22-7 and 22-8, the Code of the City of Charleston, to conform with state law as amended.
Second.
Shall this bill pass, the title thereof be changed to an ordinance and be ordered grossed for ratification?
Second.
Motion made, probably seconded. We're going to do a roll call vote on this.
Councilmember Gregg. Councilmember Shealy. Councilmember McBride.
Yay. Councilmember
Mitchell. Councilmember Brainy.
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory. Councilmember Waring. Councilmember Sickings. Councilmember Tinkler. Councilmember Bowden.
Aye.
Councilmember Pell. Councilmember Parker. Mayor Cogswell.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes.
All right, bill's up for second reading. There are
19.
19 bills up for second reading.
I would move that we take 1 through 19 together and move their approval as amended.
Yep. Sorry. We have N1 and N2 or as amended.
Yes,
Yep.
and then we have one more that we need to amend. It's item number 19. We need to remove the property 2028 Ironstone from that ordinance. So that ordinance will need to be as amended, removing 2028 Ironstone. That annexation requested deferral this afternoon. So
Okay.
we can proceed with the rest of the work.
Yes, correct.
Councilman Bell.
Just for discussion, can we ask why that property has removed itself from consideration for annexation? Does it have anything,
I think
Ms. Connor, does that have anything
Molly's
to do with
coming
our
into
previous conversation?
Yes, that is 100%.
How about that? How about that?
Okay, so we have a motion made as amended to take all of these, all 1 through 19 together and for approval as amended. We have a motion. Did I hear a second? We have a motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Okay. So now, third reading. We have a motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. We are now at the end, and I need a motion to go into executive session. We have a motion made, go into executive session. We'll be gone for a little bit, folks.
And Mr. Mayor, just for the record, because the agenda doesn't indicate it, can we state also that we're going in for the reason Councilmember Tinkler provided earlier as well?
Yes, so we have 3 items that we are, excuse me, 2 items we were talking about in executive session. Receive a legal update from council on Charleston School of Law. We have received a legal update regarding the proposed purchase and sale agreement for Charleston County for 993, 995 North Drive. And we have these as options to discuss.
We're deferring CSOL. That's removed from the.
Never mind. We have 1 item or 2 items now in executive session. One is legal update on 995. And the other is to discuss potential next steps with regards to contractual agreements with the St. Andrews Public Service District. So a motion made, probably seconded to go in executive session. Do we know where we're going? We're gonna go into a conference room here on the side. We'll be in there discussing an executive session when we come back out. But this probably wraps up the council meeting for most of you all, I would say. Motion made, up, probably seconded. All those in favor of going to executive session, signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. All right. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session? We have a motion made, properly second, to come out of executive session. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Regarding the purchase sale agreement on 995 Morrison Drive, do I have a motion? The motion made, properly second, to accept PSA. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Right, as it relates to the other item discussed in executive session, I am tasking legal to explore options consistent with state law as it relates to the future contractual relationships with the St. Andrews PSD. If there's no other business to come before this body, this council stands adjourned.